Hello everyone, YouTubers, subscribers everywhere, and welcome to another live Q&A. Yes, after the success of my previous one, because I got 700 subscribers recently, I decided to do another one. And it seems to have worked out well. I think going forward, actually, Q&As are going to go live, because it's nicer. I actually found it was nicer to answer questions live as they were coming into my feed. I did do a Q&A with a recent subscriber, Cyphers Movie Talk. Hello, by the way. We did a Q&A collaboration video, which went on for 1 hour. We asked each other 10 questions. That was different. But and that was a good video. Please check that out on my channel and on his channel. The video is exactly the same. It's titled differently on his channel. If you're watching this, Cyphers, hello. So basically, the way this is going to work, if you weren't here for the first one, basically you can ask me questions in the live chat, and I'm going to answer them here and now. This is not for any celebration. This is just random. This is just, for fun. Last time, it ran for 2 hours. So I think I'm going to stick to roughly that runtime. I won't go any longer than that. Otherwise, it will be too long. And my voice will be strained as well. My vocal cords will get a bit strained after 2 hours. So yeah, there's only 2 viewers at the moment, so I'll give it a sec to warm up. Totally unplanned, totally out of the blue, but we'll see what we can do. I won't go any further until I start to see any questions. So yeah, and obviously, if you want to check out my 700 subscribers live Q&A, please go and check that out on my channel. It's there. And obviously, if you're watching this not live, then I'm sorry, you won't be able to ask me any questions. This is just a live Q&A. But please watch the video for entertainment purposes if you wish. So, as I said, I'm going to going forward. I think I'll do all Q&As live. It's just a lot more fun that way, rather than collecting people's questions and getting recording a video and editing. I can't be asked to do that. Not with the Q&A. Okay, we have 1 question so far. Awesome Productions. Do you think we'll ever get a sequel to Justice League, and do you think it'll be more like Zack Snyder's cut or Joss Whedon's cut? To be honest, I don't know. That's a good question, but I saw Justice League once at the cinema, which was obviously the Joss Whedon cut. I liked it. I thought it was decent. I haven't seen Zack Snyder's cut, so I don't know if I can actually answer that question. I think they might do a sequel. They could potentially do a sequel, but unfortunately, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to be vague. I can't answer that. But yeah, the Justice League film. I did review it a few years ago when it came out, and I did enjoy it, but it wasn't perfect to me. And I did hear about Zack Snyder's cut. I might check out Zack Snyder's cut and see if there's any major differences. But yeah, the length of this video will probably depend on the amount of questions I get. Like I said, I got so many questions last time, so I ended up going for 2 hours. But I had one of my subscribers known as Sam Harrison. He asked me so many questions. So yeah, feel free to ask as many as you want. There are no limits to the questions. But when I get to, I will not go any further than 2 hours. Otherwise, my vocals will be strained. Harry Thomas. Hi, Harry. Do you think Croods 2 will be better than Boss Baby 2? Well, I don't know, and I don't care, personally. Well, I think it probably will, actually. I mean, I haven't seen the first Croods film, but people seem to like it, so that's good. The Boss Baby sucks. It just sucks. So I have every confidence. I don't have any confidence in the sequel, that the sequel will do anything for me. So yeah, I'd probably say yes to that question. Yeah. Two questions so far. We're not off to a good start. Let's hope there's some more questions that come rolling in. We've got 4 people watching this, so 2 of them have asked me questions. So the other 2, please do consider asking me anything you want. Anything you want. I mean, if it is a bit personal, then obviously I may not answer it, but I'll do my best to answer everything. Yeah. I'm waiting for the questions, basically. Awesome Productions. Who do you think will die in Jurassic World Dominion, human or dinosaur? Not sure about the dinosaurs, but the humans. They might kill off one of the older characters like Alan Grant or Ian Malcolm potentially. I don't know if they'll kill off Owen, Chris Pratt's character Owen. Potentially, it depends. I think there's bound to be some death in the film because I predict that it could potentially be a post-apocalyptic film, like the dinosaurs at the end of Fallen Kingdom. The dinosaurs were let loose by Maisie, the little clone girl, and that the world has now got to coexist with these creatures, and the dinosaurs are going to wipe people out. So I think it'll be interesting. I think this will be a very different film to what we've had with the first five. I hope it is anyway, because I mean, you know, there gets to a point when you kind of run out of ideas for dinosaur movies. But in terms of who'll die, yeah, my predictions would probably be Alan Grant or Ian Malcolm. Not sure about anybody else. Maybe some new characters. They might introduce some new characters who they'll kill off, but yeah, potentially. Oh dear, only 3 questions so far. Please ask me questions. Last time people came flooding in, but yeah, I can't really do much without questions. So yeah. Harry Thomas, top 5 favorite scenes from the Hobbit trilogy. That is a very good question. So looking over the 3 films, and this is in no particular order because I'm just going off the top of my head. Definitely the riddle scene in An Unexpected Journey. The riddle scene with Gollum is phenomenal. It's one of the best scenes in the book as well. I actually quite like the climax of An Unexpected Journey when they're on the edge of the cliff by the trees and they're throwing the pine cones down at Azog and the orcs. And when Thorin charges for Azog and then Bilbo saves Thorin, I love that climax. It is so well done. It really is. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would probably be Bilbo and Smaug in the Desolation of Smaug in the mountain when he's trying to steal the Arkenstone. I love that. That is a great scene. Again, one of my favorite scenes in the book. Number 4 would probably be... I'm going to go with the barrel scene from the Desolation of Smaug. The barrels, yeah, the barrels. It's such a crazy action sequence, but it's, you know, Peter Jackson, he just did it so much justice. He really did. It's a fantastic sequence. Who else is there? What else is there? I actually also really like the acorn scene from Battle of the Five Armies, which is the scene where Thorin and Bilbo, when he sees him holding the acorn, and he's like, "What's that in your hand?" And then he's like, "I'm going to go and plant it in my home, a Bag End when I make it a home." And it's a lovely moment. It's just a beautiful moment of purity, and it's a moment when Thorin is about to snap out of his delusion, and it also shows their friendship. I love that moment. It's beautiful, and that So there are scenes from every film in the trilogy in there, and I do defend the Hobbit trilogy. I do, although they're not perfect. Just waiting for more questions. I'm literally waiting for questions, so that's why I'm not saying anything. I thought I was going to be flooded with questions, but there's only 3 people watching this, so I hope that there's more people that will turn up and ask questions. Sam Harrison is always a good bet for questions. He likes to ask me questions, so yeah. Again, this was totally unplanned, so I understand. You know, people probably haven't got the time to sit through this, but you know, we'll see how many more we get. Awesome Productions. If Primeval ever did return, what would be a new creature you'd like to see? That's a good question. Well, I don't think Primeval will return, although I'd like it to at some point. Maybe a new version of the Future Predator. Maybe the Future Predator, like a new redesign of that. I think that would be really interesting. The Future Predator has always been my favorite. Has been my favorite creature from Primeval. I do like Primeval very much, though it did, as it went on, it did start to get worse. The first 2 series are fantastic. 3 is good, a bit messy. 4 is okay, and 5 is crap. So I just think the show ran its course. But if it did come back, I would like to see a new version of the Future Predator. But I didn't see Primeval New World. I didn't see it, and I don't really care for it, to be honest. I have no intention to see it. Yeah, I've reviewed every single series of the UK Primeval. If you're interested, then do check it out. Harry Thomas, have you seen the Disney film The Sword in the Stone? Not sure, actually. I don't think so. I've only ever seen trailers of it. I have Disney Plus, so I can watch it on Disney Plus. So I maybe will watch it and review it for you. Thank you for that. I'd totally forgotten about that film. Awesome Productions. What do you think was the saddest character death in the rebooted Planet of the Apes trilogy? That's a tough question. That's a very good question. It's definitely going to be a death from War for the Planet of the Apes, which is my favorite Apes movie, and it's actually one of my favorite movies of all time now. I love it that much. It is so good. It's honestly a masterpiece. But in terms of your question, well, the obvious choice would be Caesar. Spoiler alert, sorry. That was very moving. I mean, that movie is it's just so moving. It really is. I really thought the death of Caesar's family was hard hitting. It really was at the very beginning. But I'm gonna go with Luca, the gorilla. When he dies protecting Nova, the little girl. That was beautifully done. It was so sad. I mean, I nearly teared up at that moment. The music was beautiful, and the way that Nova picked the flower from her ear and put it in his ear was just those beautiful little composition moments. That was what really made it sad for me. Also, actually, Donkey, the big red gorilla, his death was pretty sad as well because he had a change of heart during the battle scene and he got shot by one of the humans, which was also very sad. But I'm going to go with Luca as the saddest one. But every death in War for the Planet of the Apes was very sad. That trilogy is amazing. It is, for me, actually, that trilogy is superior to the 1968 film. I might get some hate for that, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, and if you haven't seen them, please see them. They are incredible, especially War for the Planet of the Apes. War for the Planet of the Apes is incredible. Good question. Basically, I'm seeing all the questions in the live chat, and I just wait for a new one to appear. I've only got 3 viewers at the moment, so there's only 2 of them that have asked questions, which is fair enough. Hopefully, more people will tune in. If it continues to be like this for a while, then it won't go on for 2 hours. It will probably be a bit shorter than the last one. But yeah, live Q&A is just more fun. Okay, Harry Thomas. If we ever get Incredibles 3, do you think Violet and Dash will be the main characters? Potentially, yeah. I think they may well do that. Maybe they'll set it a few years after the second one. What I would like them to do is to have it set a few years after, so Jack wouldn't be a baby. It would be nice to see Jack actually as a young boy, like say 10, like Dash's age, and then the other 2, like Violet, would be nearly a young adult, and Dash would be a teenager. I think it could focus on the kids. Maybe they have to save the parents and getting them out of a situation. Because obviously in the first Incredibles film, it was Bob. It was his film, really, until the second half when his family joined in. And then in the second film, it reversed to Helen. And Helen was the central protagonist of that film. And then the family joined in at various points. But yeah, no, I would like that. Or maybe Frozone. Well, then again, Frozone is always a side character, so it's more likely to focus on the kids. But I would love them to make the Incredibles 3. I really would. Please just do one more, Pixar. Please, just make it a trilogy. I beg you. Next question. Awesome Productions. What has been the most fun you've ever had being in a cinema audience? That's a good question. There's been several experiences. One of the experiences I would say would be Spectre. When I saw the James Bond movie Spectre the first time, it was packed. I mean, it was the release day, so it was going to be full up. And every time the film was cracking jokes, most people laughed and they thought they were funny. There was one particular line when the character M says to C, he says, "Now we know what C stands for." Everybody cracked up at that. That was so hilarious. I mean, hilarious. It was just a fantastic atmosphere. Also, um, another experience would have to be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, because the audience were cheering for most of that film. I was there. I mean, it was the release day, my sister's birthday. We went to see it in 3D, and people cheered when Ron and Hermione kissed. People cheered when Neville killed the snake. And the very end of the film, everybody stood up and applauded. It was just so incredible. I mean, it was a cinema, but it was that atmosphere. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And before the film, the opening logo came on, everybody was cheering. And I was like, it got me excited. It really did. I normally don't like that sort of stuff in the cinema. But hearing that, for those type of films, it was special. It really was. So, yeah, those would be two special experiences. And also when I saw Les Miserables, the film, the end of that film, by the credits, everybody applauded as well. That was a good film. I did like that. Jermaine Haslam. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks very much. I'm glad you like the channel. I appreciate your recent comments, I must say. What are your thoughts on Disney doing another Planet of the Apes film? I don't know if it will be as good as the rebooted trilogy, to be honest. I want Andy Serkis to be in it. If they're going to do it, get Andy Serkis, and don't kidify it, if you know what I mean. Don't play it for the kids. Make it as the reboot movies have been made. I don't want them to totally reboot it again. But I would be open to the concept of it. I would be open to seeing another Apes movie, but they'd have to get. I would want them to get Matt Reeves back to direct it, because he has done an amazing job with Dawn and War for the Planet of the Apes. But yeah, that's my verdict. Okay, there's a few more questions coming in. Thank God. Okay, Awesome Productions. If you want to bring Primeval back, what direction would you take it in? As in, what would the plot be like? Who would die and how long it would go on for? Well, that's a big question to ask. I would say I would basically restart it with a new group of maybe kids, like have a new generation of characters, perhaps being led by Connor and Abby, potentially, or Connor and Abby come out of retirement to help them. It would be nice, and I'd keep Lester. I would keep Lester in there, because he's such a great character. I would have it almost be kind of like the first series, where they're all brought together through the anomalies, not necessarily by accident, but maybe they are chosen to be a part of the program, so the ARC program. So perhaps what I would have is maybe all the characters, they'll probably be teenagers or something, and friends, and maybe they have a family member each who dies or something, or is affected by the anomalies. All the anomalies are drawn to them in some way. So, and I would actually focus it more on what the third series was trying to do, in trying to go to the source of the anomalies and work out why they're appearing, why these ruptures in time are appearing. Series 3 started to do that, but then it got a little bit all over the place. So I would go for that. I hope that answers your question. And I would like to bring some of the classic monsters back, but I'd like to go into some new territory as well. I think that would be awesome. Okay. Sterling Archer. Hello, Sterling. Top 3 Jason Statham movies. I must confess, I've not seen many of them. The Expendables is probably one, I would say. I haven't seen that many. Probably one or two of the Transporter movies, but I haven't seen them in such a long time. Jason Statham is not really an actor that I admire that much, so I might have to come back to you on that, but sorry to be vague. Awesome Productions. Who do you think could be the next big bad villain for the MCU now that we've got past Thanos? I don't know, because I haven't really followed the comics. That's the thing. I haven't followed the Marvel comics that much. I suppose Galactus would be one. I mean, they fucked over Galactus in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Less said about that, the better. But I really just I'd really like them to do him justice and not have him be a cloud like he was in Fantastic Four. So I'd say Galactus, probably. Sam Harrison. Oh, I knew Sam was going to show up at some point. Now I know this Q&A is going to go on for a while. Thank God. Thank you, Sam. You saved my Q&A. Sam Harrison. Why do you prefer Moonraker to The Man with the Golden Gun? I know, Sam, that you question my love for Moonraker, but what can I say? I love it. I just think Moonraker's more fun. Man with the Golden Gun is also fun, but I also think the pacing is slightly better in Moonraker. You're going to disagree with me, but I just think Roger Moore is also allowed to have more fun in Moonraker, because in Man with the Golden Gun he's very tough, which is fine, but I just don't think the Man with the Golden Gun is the slickest Bond movie. It's a good film, but I've always preferred Moonraker. I guess again because I'm a Star Wars fan. I like the space battle. I mean, it is, yeah. I'm not going to deny that it's probably a rip-off of Star Wars, but I think it's so entertaining. It's just so much fun. Both movies have their faults. They're kind of on equal footing for me. Like I both gave them an 8 out of 10 when I reviewed them, so they're not too far off each other. But yeah, I've always enjoyed both of the films. Both of them have terrific villains as well. And also, rest in peace to Michael Lonsdale, who played Drax in Moonraker. He passed away recently, which is very sad to hear. So my thoughts go out to his family and friends. Sam again. Have you seen Clockwork Orange? And if so, do you like it? Funny you should say that. I have seen it. I did watch it in college. No, I didn't watch it in college. Sorry, I was studying it. I was studying a directing unit in college, and I watched the film. I rented it. It's a good film. It's very well made. I mean, Stanley Kubrick is a very acclaimed director. He is a very talented guy, but the subject matter of the story is very uncomfortable. It's not a film I could watch leisurely. It's a film that I'm glad I watched for the purpose of to study how directing works. But there's a lot of in Clockwork Orange. There's a lot of rape scenes, and there's a lot of sexual assault in the film, and it is very uncomfortable and it has a very ugly tone to me. So it's not a film I could watch all the time. And it did put me in a very foul mood, I must say. But it was very well directed. It's a very brilliantly directed film, but Clockwork Orange is not for the faint-hearted. I'll say that, because the main protagonist is sort of insane. So it's very hard to invest in that character. Although, fun fact, that film was actually filmed, the last scene in the hospital was filmed in a hospital not far from where I live. So yeah. Okay. Where am I going? Awesome Productions. What is the best CGI animation you've ever seen in a movie? I'm assuming you mean just generally a CGI film, or CGI in a film, or both. That's a good question. Well, I guess War for the Planet of the Apes comes to mind again. That movie has amazing motion capture. I absolutely love it. I think it looks terrific. Lord of the Rings also has fabulous CGI. But if you're talking full-on CG animated movies, I might have to go with some of the recent Pixar films like Toy Story 4 and The Incredibles 2. Coco, they have some beautiful animation. The colors, the textures, it's all digital, obviously, but there's a nice sense of realism about it. Even Onward, the new Pixar film, has a great animation as well. I hope that answers your question. Sorry, I was trying to understand the question. Sam Harrison, who's your least favorite film director and why? It's a good question. Lee Tamahori is down there. He directed my least favorite James Bond film, Die Another Day. Brett Ratner is another one. I don't think he's a very good director. Although that being said, I don't mind X-Men: The Last Stand. It's okay, but him as a person, I'm not keen on him as a person. I'm not sure what other directors there are that I dislike that much. Not sure. Those are the only ones I can think of. Harry Thomas, would you see Andy Serkis' Jungle Book movie Mowgli on Netflix? Yes. Well, actually, I did. I started to watch it, but I was ill at the time, so I only watched 15 minutes of it. But I will watch it. I promise I'll watch it and review it, because I love Andy Serkis, and I know it's a darker take on the story, and I think it's meant to be more true to the book. Again, just to give you a background, I like the Jungle Book films, but I don't think they're amazing. I like the original Disney one. It's charming and it's funny, but there isn't much plot. The remake is okay. Well, I think it's decent, but the first half of the remake drags for me. I've done reviews of them, so I won't go into a long spiel about it. But I think they're good. So I mean, this one could be very good. We'll see. Sam Harrison, favorite action scene in Moonraker? Ooh. I know this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but the space battle. I have to go with the space battle. I know it's silly and it's stupid, but with Moonraker, it's a Marmite Bond movie. You got to take it as it is. If you can either love it or hate it. I just love it. I think it's so much fun, and it's technically very impressive for the time, anyway. And John Richardson, who did the special effects, for a lot of movies, he's gone into quite a lot of detail about the effects for Moonraker online. So yeah, seek that out. This is interesting. Sam again. Have you seen the Halloween movies? No, I haven't. Sam again. Why do you prefer Hugo Drax to Kamal Khan as a Bond villain? I just thought that Drax was more of a presence, Kamal Khan is a good villain, but I thought some of the dialogue, I think, was better for Drax when he says, "Can I press you to a cucumber sandwich?" And again, I'm not saying this just because Michael Lonsdale's passed away. And when, like, the way he's he's very sinister. He doesn't raise his voice, or very rarely does he raise his voice. And his plan is obviously quite outrageous, what he's trying to do. Kamal Khan definitely has more of a realistic plan. He's still a good villain, but I just give Drax the edge because I just love his sly, sinister lines, especially the line of, "Can I press you to a cucumber sandwich, Mr. Bond?" And his best line is, "Take good care of Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him." I don't know, something about the way he delivers it is great. I'm sorry if that's vague, but that's the only that's the only thing I can think of. Jermaine, I'm happy them just leaving Planet of the Apes alone. The trilogy was stellar. Yeah, I'm happy them to leave it alone as well. I know that wasn't the question, but glad you shared that. If they're going to do it, which they are, I'll watch it. But I just, after 3 fantastic masterpieces, I just don't think that Disney are going to do it justice unless they get the same people back to do it, potentially. But we'll see. Sterling Archer. Check out the Transporter movies. Okay, I will do that. Thanks, Sam. That's fine. You can only start up to 11. It's fine. You don't have to stay beyond that. I'm only going for a couple of hours anyway. So where am I? 27 minutes in. I've lost where I am. I'm so sorry. Bugger it. This stupid list. Okay, Sam, what is your opinion on Lewis Gilbert as a director? I think Lewis Gilbert is a good director overall. I mean, he directed The Spy Who Loved Me, which is my favourite Roger Moore movie, and he directed Moonraker, which I think is fun, and You Only Live Twice. I don't think everything about his direction is perfect. He does incorporate a lot of silly elements into the stories, but sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. He's I'd say, overall a decent director, I would say. But obviously it was very difficult to work with Sean Connery in the time when he didn't want to be James Bond anymore, but You Only Live Twice. But I think he's good. Yeah. Harry Thomas, top 5 Avatar characters. By Avatar, I'm assuming you mean James Cameron's Avatar, because I haven't seen the TV show, The Avatar, The Last Airbender. So I'll go for James Cameron's movie. So James Cameron's Avatar, the top 5 characters, and again, in no particular order. Obviously, I'm going to have to go with Jake Sully, the main protagonist. He is a good character, and it's actually one of Sam Worthington's best performances. Neytiri, who is his love interest, Zoe Saldana's character. I'm going to go with Grace as well, the Doctor. Grace, she's a very good character. She kind of becomes sort of a bit more of a mother figure to Jake as the story progresses. Who else? So I've got 3. I will also go with Quaritch, the villain. I mean, he's a decent villain. I mean, I wouldn't say he's anything amazing, but he is pretty good. I will probably revisit Avatar before the second film is released. It's been a long time coming. And then, lastly, Sute, the other tribesman, and like how he and Jake actually form an alliance at the end, which is good. And his death actually hits hard. If you've seen the extended edition, he gets a proper death scene, so check that out. Okay, Henok Gigbred Gerris. Hi, Henok. What's your opinion on Pierce Brosnan as Bond and why? Well, I have done reviews of the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies, but just to reiterate, I mean, his films are kind of disappointing, although GoldenEye is the only good one. I think GoldenEye is Brosnan's best movie by far, and it's his only good one. That being said, I don't think it's perfect. I think it's slightly overrated. It's got some weird elements in it, but it is better than License to Kill, so that's something. Brosnan himself, to me, he kind of looks a bit insecure sometimes with the role. He doesn't have that much charisma. He's not terrible. I'd say he's okay, but it didn't help that the films, most of his films, well, 3 of his films, I should say, are very disappointing, especially Die Another Day. Well, less said about that, the better. But I don't hate Pierce Brosnan's Bond, but he just doesn't grab me. He's definitely one of my least favorite actors to play the role. But, you know, each to their own. He's clearly the pretty boy Bond. I mean, he's clearly good looking, so good for him. Sam, how would you rank the Roger Moore Bond performances? Oh, that's a good question. Number 1 would definitely be The Spy Who Loved Me. I might go with The Man with the Golden Gun, and this is based on Roger's performances. So Spy Who Loved Me, Man with the Golden Gun, Moonraker, because I think he's having so much fun. Live and Let Die, I think, as well. For Your Eyes Only, potentially. Yeah, For Your Eyes Only. Octopussy, then A View to a Kill. That's how I would do it. Sam Harrison, weirdest film you've seen and why? That's a good question. I don't know about weirdest film. That's a really difficult one because I've seen some shit movies, but in terms of whether they're weird and what makes them weird, I don't know. I have to ponder on this. What's the weirdest film I've ever seen? Oh, I've got one. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Now, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but that movie to me is over-fucking-rated. I don't like that movie. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. It's his direction. It's weird. It's like just look at those. It's just quirky. There's these weird. I mean, I'm okay with him modernizing the story. That's fine, having guns and whatnot. And there are some beautiful moments in it, like the moment when they do, you know, see each other. And DiCaprio is excellent in the film, but the tone of it is weird. Like there's, you know, the battle scenes and everything, the acting, some of the acting is over the top. I just never liked the movie. I probably would look at it with a bit more appreciation now, but it's not a bad movie, I suppose. But I just think the overall tone of it is strange. It's just really strange. I can't put my finger on it. Like there's even a part when one of the guys like tries to lick his own nipple. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That's what I remembered from it. And the music is kind of weird, and it was just weird to me. It was just very weird. Jermaine Haslam, have you ever seen The Fly with Jeff Goldblum? I haven't actually. I should see that. People have told me to watch that. Sam Harrison, favorite animated film and why? That's a good question. For me, it's actually joined. I've got 2 choices that I put together. The first of which is The Lion King. Now, I love this movie. It's so powerful. The story is powerful. The songs are epic, and it has so much emotion. And fuck the remake. That's all I'll say. But along with that, I'm going to go with Inside Out, which is my favorite Pixar film. The 2 of them together, I can't decide which one I prefer, but both of them are very deep and emotional in their own way. Inside Out is quite thought-provoking in its execution and its concept, with the idea of the emotions in Riley's head and dealing with growing up. Both of them are similar in the sense they deal with coming of age and growing up. So yeah, I like them both the same for that reason. So it's The Lion King and Inside Out. Awesome Productions. What would you say is the saddest character death in the 2 Avengers movies dealing with Thanos? Well, I think I sort of answered this last time, but definitely has to be the person at the end of Endgame. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. Oh, fucking fly, go away. But in terms of Infinity War, Gamora hit pretty hard actually. That was powerful. Yeah, so those 2 probably. Sterling, have you watched Look Who's Back? Kind of creepy, but an interesting watch. No, I haven't, unfortunately. Awesome Productions. If I was to ever make a TV series, what would be your advice on the amount of season, episode, and length of episodes? Well, I think to begin with, know your budget, obviously. Work around your budget. Usually, average amount of episodes, maybe about 8 to 10 episodes. I would say start with 8 and see how you go. And if it proves to be successful, you can increase the amount of episodes. Like Primeval started with 6 episodes. I mean, purely because it needed the budget for the effects. They can only have 6 episodes. And then it increased to 7 in the next series. And then it increased to 10 in the third series. Although then it downscaled in 4 and 5. So my advice would be just think about budget and length of episodes, about 45 minutes. That's good enough. No longer than an hour. I think an hour is maximum. Like TV shows like Sherlock, which have episodes which are an hour and 30 minutes, I think are way too long. So have episodes that are an hour. That's what I would say at the most. But I would go with 45 minutes. Henok Gerris, would you like to see Cuties despite the controversy surrounding it? Possibly. I have no idea what it is. So I don't know what the controversies are surrounding it. But yeah, I'd be open to seeing anything. You'll have to inform me what these controversies are. But yeah, I'll be up for it. Sam Harrison, he's got quite a lot of questions here. So yeah. Do you prefer Clockwork Orange to 2001: A Space Odyssey, and why? The answer is no. I mean, I said I like Clockwork Orange. It's a very well-made film. But again, it's very uncomfortable for me. I couldn't watch it leisurely. I won't go into that again, but if you heard me earlier, you heard me say that there's a lot of rape scenes and sexual assault. It's a very unpleasant movie, but it's incredibly well directed, which is why in college I sort of used it as part of as reference for studying directing. I had to watch the film because of that, and yeah, there's a real sleaziness to that movie. I mean, Stanley Kubrick's very talented, but it's a film you've got to really be in the mood for because it is unpleasant. And I don't know how he got away with filming some of those scenes that he did. But in terms of 2001, I would say 2001 is easily better. It's a landmark. It's because of the journey the narrative goes on, it's really quite epic. So, and the music in that film is incredible, of course. So yeah, easily 2001: A Space Odyssey. Do you prefer Octopussy or Quantum of Solace, and why? Tough question. Very close call. I'm kind of more inclined to say Quantum of Solace purely because it has more emotional drama. But then again, Octopussy is good. I mean, Quantum of Solace has its issues. It's a very tough decision because both I gave a similar score. Both gave them a 7 out of 10. Quantum of Solace, I think, is underrated, but I don't think it's perfect. It's got really bad editing in places. It's too short. It's a bit rushed. Octopussy is just generic and fun. So I don't know, actually. Octopussy does drag quite a bit, and I don't like the theme song of Octopussy. I don't like the theme song of Quantum of Solace either. I'm going to weigh it up when I do my ranking after I've seen No Time to Die, so I may have to keep you in surprise for that. Sam again. Do you prefer The Spy Who Loved Me or The Deadly Assassin, and why? Probably The Spy Who Loved Me, because it's a great fun Bond movie. I mean, I love The Deadly Assassin. It's a great Doctor Who story, probably potentially one of my favorites in the classic era, but it's a much more serious story, and it's much more intense. I think The Spy Who Loved Me can be enjoyed for fun as well as, I mean, I think The Deadly Assassin is more thought-provoking, but in terms of which one I prefer, I guess I've The Spy Who Loved Me. I mean, I've seen it more and I've watched it more. I've only seen The Deadly Assassin once, but I get a lot of enjoyment out of both. Sam Harrison, opinion on the Rush Hour films? Well, no opinion. I haven't seen them, so I can't answer that question, unfortunately. Most fun film you've ever seen, and why? It's a good question. There are probably some films that are considered to be bad, but I consider to be fun. It's just trying to think of them. I always enjoyed the first Chronicles of Narnia film when I was a kid. I saw that when I was 8 years old. Well, my parents took me and my sister to see it twice. Second time because we got free tickets. It was a magical film. I've always thought that was a fun film, but it is very magical and a beautiful film. I guess Harry Potter as well. They've always been fun. Actually, Pirates of the Caribbean. That's probably the most fun I've had because I can just sit back and not think about it too much. It's just a fun romp. It's just pirates going around and doing their stuff. So yeah, and my favorite Pirates of the Caribbean film is Dead Man's Chest. Again, I've reviewed all 5 movies. If you want to check that out. Sam again. Most underrated and overrated Roger Moore film. Most overrated Roger Moore film, definitely For Your Eyes Only. Sorry, Sam. Sorry. I cannot get into that film. Well, not completely anyway. There are parts of it I like, but it's just, for me, I've just always found it boring. There's a lot of things that I don't like in it. It's boring. The villain kind of sucks, and the plot isn't that engaging to me. BB is annoying. Yeah, it's always been my least favorite Roger Moore film. And most underrated Roger Moore Bond film, I'm gonna have to say Moonraker. Moonraker again. It's just fun. It's just fun. What can I say? What can I say? Possibly The Man with the Golden Gun as well. I'm surprised that gets a bad rap. It's a shame. Favorite location in Moonraker and why? The space station and space, because it's something different. Why do you prefer The Spy Who Loved Me to Moonraker out of interest? Well, that's a good question. Well, obviously, The Spy Who Loved Me is easily the better film, and it's more original than Moonraker. I mean, The Spy Who Loved Me could be argued as being quite silly in places as well, but it feels more contained than Moonraker, and I think it's slickly directed better. And I mean, Moonraker is basically the same as The Spy Who Loved Me. It's just in space. The plot is pretty much a rip-off, but I still enjoy both of them. But The Spy Who Loved Me, for me, is a classic Bond adventure. It has more elements that define it. It has more iconography. The song is better as well. The theme song is better. The stunts are good. Although Moonraker's opening stunt is amazing. The Spy Who Loved Me is it's always appealed to me more. It's always appealed to me more. That's what I can say. Yes, yeah, Michael Lonsdale passed away. It was announced earlier today. Yeah, very sad. Most fun Bond movie and why? Oh, again, I guess I've mentioned it before, but Moonraker. What can I say? Moonraker is just fun. It's fun, but a lot of them are fun. Yeah, that's one of the most fun anyway. I don't know which one is the most fun. I suppose The Spy Who Loved Me. I rank that very highly among my ranking. Most boring Bond film and why? Oh, that's gotta be. Well, Die Another Day, which is my least favorite of the series. But other than that one, Thunderball is painfully slow. I'm sorry. I know some people like Thunderball, but I just cannot get into it. It's too slow. It's stylish. It's a stylishly looking film, but the script is boring. The underwater fight scenes just drag. I just cannot get into it. Opinion on Guy Hamilton as a director. Again, he's very good, but the quality of the film's definitely deteriorated. I mean, his era is a mixed bag. He's got Goldfinger and Live and Let Die, which I think are amazing films. And then he's got Diamonds Are Forever, which I think is very mediocre. And then The Man with the Golden Gun, which is good. So he's he's kind of inconsistent in that regard. But I do think he's a very talented director. Sorry, he was a very talented director. And I think Goldfinger is easily one of my favorite Bond movies. And it's Sean Connery's best film by far. And it really put the stamp on that classic formula that we were going to get for the remainder of the series. So yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of good things to like about Guy Hamilton's direction. Okay, Sam Harrison, most fun Doctor Who story. Oh, there's a lot of stories there, Sam. The Underwater Menace. I've always found that one fun. It's just fun, you know. I mean, it may not be the best made, but I just think it's so much fun. What can I say? Okay. Sterling Archer, what's your opinion on actors using performance-enhancing drugs to get ready for movie roles? I would prefer that they didn't, but it's their own personal choice. I'm not here to dictate to people what they should or shouldn't do, but if it were up to me, if I were a director, I would advise them to not do that because it's just not professional. Sam Harrison, do you prefer Matt Smith as the Doctor or Capaldi, and why? That's a very tough question because I kind of view both of them on a very similar level. Matt Smith is definitely the more quirky Doctor. He's definitely the more humorous Doctor. He went a bit over the top in some of his stories, but Both the Doctors have a lot in common. Both of them were let down by very bad stories. Peter Capaldi is good. He's more serious, of course. I think his attempts at comedy are very flat, and I don't actually think he's that as good as everyone says, if I'm going to be honest. But I think he's good. He nails the darker side of the character very well. Some of his diction is a bit unclear. It's a bit hard to understand what he's saying. But yeah, I don't know. That's a very hard question. I cannot decide. Leave it with me. Let me get my Doctor's ranking done, and then you'll find out. Sorry, Sam. Sorry. Sam Harrison, most fun Roger Moore Bond film and why? Well, I've already answered that. Moonraker, guess. But actually, no, wrong. The Spy Who Loved Me. This is my favourite Roger Moore Bond film. Sterling Archer. That's not really a question. Okay. Jordan Plays. Hello, Jordan. Thank you. Sam Harrison, favourite sweets and why? That's a good question. Well, there's Jelly Babies, of course, as Tom Baker likes them. I don't have a favourite sweet. I guess Haribo. I like Haribo a lot. And I like chocolate as well. Lindor chocolate, I love. I really do love that. Jordan Plays. How are you? I'm good, thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I'm very good. How are you? Lockdown is certainly an interesting time for all of us. Henok Gegbred Garris. Opinion on Mark Forster as a director. Well, obviously, I've only seen 2 of the films he's made, which are Quantum of Solace and World War Z. Didn't like World War Z. Thought it was a boring piece of shit, personally. But Quantum of Solace, it has a few good things in there, but to me, the problem was Mark Forster didn't understand James Bond. He's a very artistic director, and I appreciate that. Any director who has a flair for avant-garde or anything like that is good in my book, but I just kind of feel he was the wrong choice for James Bond. Again, I'm only going from 2 films I've seen of his, but I do think he's good, all things considered. He's a very talented guy. Sam Harrison, why do you prefer A View to a Kill to Octopussy? Because Roger Moore doesn't dress up as a clown. That's the first answer. And I just think the plot is a bit better, personally, in A View to a Kill. Roger Moore is a bit older, that's true, but I think the villains are good, and it does try and play things a little bit more straight, even though Roger Moore is a bit old in the movie. And I think the soundtrack is really good as well, by John Barry. Yeah, and I thought it was personally quite a good finale for Roger Moore, but yeah, I don't love it. I don't think it's incredible. Hello, Jordan, again. Sam Harrison, will there be a part 3 Q&A? Yes, well, as I said at the start of this video, any future Q&As that I do, I'm going to do them live, because it's just nicer for everyone to ask me questions that way and get a response immediately. And it's easier for me as well. I enjoy doing this. So, yes, yeah, there will be a part 3 at some point. Sam Harrison, favourite Romeo and Juliet movie? Oh, easily the original. There's a 1968 film which was made, which is the one I watched a few years ago. Actually, fun fact for you all, I actually performed in Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I do a bit of acting in my spare time, and when I was at school, we did a production of Romeo and Juliet. I played Romeo's father, Montague, who was only in about 3 scenes, but yeah, it's a good part. Romeo and Juliet, if you can tackle William Shakespeare, then that's not half bad, actually. That's really not half bad. It's good to know. But the films, yeah, also I studied it in school as well a year later in English. So it was good to watch it anyway. But yeah, I think the original is the better made film, personally. Sam Harrison, most boring film we've ever seen. Oh, that's a good one. I guess the 50 Shades movies. They are really boring. Twilight, they're very boring as well. Can't get into them. Has Davison grown on you as the Doctor? Yes, I would say so. I mean, I still think he's just okay, but I certainly think he's more confident now, and I've liked him a bit more since his first season. So yes. Favorite suit that Roger Moore wears as Bond? I like his suit from The Spy Who Loved Me when he's in Egypt. I really do like that. Those colours are great. Awesome Productions. Do you watch much anime or even have much of a strong opinion on it? Not really. I mean, I watch animated films, And that's about as close as it gets, really. So, yeah, I'd probably say no to that, to the answer to that question. Awesome Productions. What is the biggest example of a movie franchise that's really overstayed its welcome and just needs to end? It's a good question. Good question. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I think Indiana Jones, even though there's only been 4 films, by this point, Harrison Ford is just too damn old to play the character. I mean, he was too old back in 2008. In terms of other franchises, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Not sure. I can't think of franchises. Can't think of franchises. I don't know. I suppose. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't answer that question. It's a good question, though. Awesome Productions. What is your favorite fight scene from the Transformers movies? Do you ever consider giving the animated show Transformers Prime a shot? Possibly, yes. And in terms of the fight scenes, I like the forest fight in Revenge of the Fallen. That was probably say what you will about the movie, but that fight scene was pretty awesome. I choose to see Transformers as a bit of a guilty pleasure. Sam Harrison, do you prefer tea or coffee? Tea. Sam Harrison, is there a food that you hate but everyone else loves? Yes. I hate tomatoes. I do not like them. I think they're disgusting. Red cabbage, can't stand it. Opinion on John Glenn as a director, very mixed. I'm really sorry, guys. Give me like 5 minutes. Well, hopefully not 5 minutes. Give me a few minutes. I need to rush to the loo. I hate to do this when I'm live. I'm really sorry, but keep asking the questions, and I'll come back as soon as I can with Sam's questions. So I'm sorry if there's no one on screen for the moment, but yeah, I'm terribly sorry. I'm busting. I have to go. 2 secs. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I really am. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. God, I will try and edit that bit out when this is uploaded, or I'm gonna try and put the timestamp in the description below of when to continue. So I'm so sorry about that. So going back to Sam's question about John Glenn. What's your opinion on John Glenn as a director? Very mixed. I'm not a big fan of For Your Eyes Only. Not a big fan of Octopussy. I like A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights. Not a big fan of License to Kill. So he's a very hit and miss director in my opinion. Fucking flies. A very hit and miss director in my opinion. He kept he kept the 80s era going, so good for him. But at the same time, his quality was very inconsistent. So I don't think he's my favorite personally, to be honest. Sam, favorite, at least favorite action scene in a Roger Moore film. Ooh, favorite action scene in a Roger Moore film might have to be the opening to the Spy Who Loved Me, because of the way it ends. I mean, the ski sequence is awesome when Bond turns around and he shoots the guards with his stick, and then it's that stunt when he opens up the parachute. It is incredible. It is an incredible stunt. Least favorite action scene, the monastery in For Your Eyes Only. Sorry, Sam. I find it boring. I find it incredibly dull. It takes too long. It should have been cut down. Okay, Jermaine Haslam. Do you collect any movie figures? I used to when I was a kid. I had figures of like Pirates of the Caribbean, figures of Spider-Man, Doctor Who figures. I had the Incredibles figures as well. I collected quite a lot in my time. Harry Potter as well. But nowadays, I think they've been put away somewhere. I mean, I'm 23 now. I'm a bit too old to be playing with figures. So but yeah, Awesome Productions. I know this might be a really obvious one to answer, but do you think Caesar made the right call in executing Koba? Or do you think that there was even a tiny chance he could have been redeemed? No, that's not too much of an obvious. I mean, that is a good question because it opens up another argument. I would say potentially, yes, he probably did make the right call, but then again, Caesar is a murderer. It makes Caesar flawed, which I think is interesting because it allows us to see that he's not this completely angelic character. He does have flaws, and I guess Koba was corrupt, so I guess he thought letting him die was probably the best option because then, yeah, you're safe. But I'm sure deep down Caesar didn't want to kill him, but then again, Koba did try and kill him, so I guess it was also revenge as well in some kind of way. But I could totally understand Koba's point of view. He felt that Caesar was swaying him and was betraying them. So I mean, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is an incredible film, and it was a really interesting rivalry between Caesar and Koba. That's a really good question. I think personally he probably did make the right call, but obviously at a cost. He had to. Cost was his humanity, and his innocence. Sam Harrison, how would you rank the Roger Moore Bond film endings? Oh God, thinking about how they all end. For Your Eyes Only is definitely the worst ending with Margaret Thatcher. I'm sorry, I do not like it. It is stupid. You may disagree, Sam, but I think it's stupid. Then it would probably be Moonraker. Even though I like the film very much, the ending is probably a bit silly. Then it would be, I'll say Man with the Golden Gun, just because of the cheesy dialogue. After Man with the Golden Gun, probably Octopussy, because the whole injury thing, which is a bit weird. So, oh fuck, I've lost where I am. So For Your Eyes Only, I've totally lost where I am. Oh, fuck. So For Your Eyes Only, Moonraker, Octopussy. Then I'll say A View to a Kill, because the shower scene could be a bit creepy. Then it would probably be Live and Let Die, potentially. And The Spy Who Loved Me. I mean, Bond keeping the British end up. I think I've got them all. I'm sorry if I can't. My mind is going blank. Sam Harrison again. Least favorite movie villain and why? Not sure. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I suppose Gustav Graves from Die Another Day. It's an obvious choice. He's a ridiculous villain. Totally silly and smarmy. I just think the character's a prick as well. So, yeah. Sam again. Least favorite scene in On Her Majesty's Secret Service and why? Probably all the scenes at the health clinic with Lazenby dressed as Hillary or Hilaire. And I know his voice is dubbed, but those scenes are kind of cringy to me. So those would probably be the weakest parts of the film. Those are the parts that I would have taken out of the film because the film is a bit long. But yeah, Dawson's Universe. Hi, Dawson. Sam again. Opinion on the Roger Moore safari suit that he wore in Moonraker and Octopussy. Yeah, I like it. It's a nice suit, and it suits him rather well. Awesome Productions. What has been your favourite adaptation of A Christmas Carol, and who'd be your next choice to play Mr. Scrooge? I've not seen every single Christmas Carol film. I think it's Albert Finney. I'm not entirely sure if I've got that right, but the guy that played him in the original film, he was very good. Obviously, there's actually a Doctor Who story called A Christmas Carol where they had Michael Gambon playing a Scrooge-like character, although there was a slightly different spin on the story. So I like that. The Muppets one is always fun, I suppose. I don't really know because I haven't seen all of them. I haven't seen all the adaptations, but I'd probably say the original film. I forget the actor that plays him. I think it's Albert Finney, but I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. So that was Awesome Productions. Sam Harrison, what Bond movie has gone up in your opinion? What one has gone down in your opinion? One that's gone up in my opinion would probably have to be Thunderball, even though I still don't really like it. I gave it an okay rating. It went up slightly. I think it's okay now. And in terms of one that's gone down in my opinion, don't know. Diamonds Are Forever I've never liked anyway, but one that's gone down in my opinion. Not sure. Trying to think actually. Trying to think. I think A View to a Kill actually, because I did consider that to be really good at one point, but no, now I just think it's good. Awesome Productions. Favorite scene from the Jurassic Park franchise? Well, it's got to be in the first film when all of the dinosaurs are revealed for the first time. When Hammond shows Alan Grant and Ellie the dinosaurs. The Welcome to Jurassic Park scene. That's my favorite. But I do like the kitchen scene as well. That kitchen scene is really intense. Awesome Productions. Best primeval villain in your opinion? It's got to be Helen Cutter. She's amazing. I hate what they did with her death, but she was just incredible. She did get a bit sort of. I think they went a bit too far, making her sort of a bit crackpot. But in the first two series, she is excellent. She really is. Leek is actually quite good. I like Oliver Leek. Oh, sorry, this chair is a bit uncomfortable. I'm just trying to get myself comfy. Okay. And thank you guys for asking me questions while I was out. I'm so sorry about the delay there. And thank you. The questions have come flooding in, and I'm really happy. Sam, most aesthetically pleasing Bond movie. It might be a bit presumptuous to say this, but potentially No Time to Die could be the most aesthetically pleasing Bond movie. But as of the 24 we have now, I've got to say Skyfall. Skyfall, that movie is lit impeccably well. The colors are incredible, and Sam Mendes has a real artistic flair. And I think he brought that to the two films that he directed, Skyfall and Spectre. But Linus Singdrum is doing the cinematography for No Time to Die, so I am really excited about that. And judging from the trailers, it looks incredible. But as of right now, Skyfall. Sam, what Bond film do you watch the most? Skyfall, easily. It's my favorite one. I've seen that movie so many times. It's one of my favorite films of all time. Now, I mean, I'll be stunned if No Time to Die can top Skyfall. I will be amazed. But looks like we're in for something pretty epic, regardless of how good it will be. Sam, most annoying character in a Bond movie and why? There's a few contenders for sure. I think it's probably either BB from For Your Eyes Only or Rosie Carver, maybe from Live and Let Die. There may be a couple of others, but those are the only two I can think of. Potentially one of those two. Awesome Productions. Favorite ape character and human character from the rebooted Apes trilogy? Good question. Favorite ape character is obviously Caesar. I mean, there's no question of a doubt about that. I think, you know, the way his character changes over the 3 films is incredible. He becomes more human as the time goes on. And favorite human character, I'm going to say, it might be controversial, but I'm going to say the Colonel from War for the Planet of the Apes, because you can easily look at him as a villain, but I choose to look at it from 2 points of view, like a different perspective. I mean, he was doing what he did to survive. He killed his own son because he saw what the virus was doing to him, and they had become primitive. And he was thinking of the greater good, you know, humanity's survival. And even though it was a personal loss to him, he made that sacrifice for the good of mankind. So it was an act of war and an act of survival. And obviously the Colonel imprisons the apes and tortures the apes. So he has his bad methods, but I do believe he himself is quite a tortured character. He's psychologically tortured, and the death of his son has really impacted on him, and he's carrying that guilt around with him. He's a very complex character. The film, The War for the Planet of the Apes, I mean, is an emotionally complex film. It is very deep on a number of levels. Sterling, PC or console gaming, if you game, that is. Yes, I do game. I mean, I'm a casual gamer. I have reviewed a few video games, but I mostly have PlayStation. So I've still even got my PS2. I've had that since I was young. Ugh, sorry, got sniffles. So yeah, PlayStation. I've got a PS4, but I don't know if I'm going to bother with PS5. It's just so expensive. I mean, for someone who doesn't game that much, I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I might wait a few years until it goes down in price. By then, they'll release the PS6. Yeah. The latest game I played was The Last of Us Part 2. That was the most recent release that I've played. I did review it on my channel if you're interested to hear my thoughts. But I like games that have like a story to them, because I'm more of a film fan, but I like games that do have a nice story. Sorry, who's messaging me? Oh, no one. Good. Right, next question. Sam, most overrated and underrated Bond henchman. Most overrated Bond henchman. Don't know. That's a good question. Bond henchman. Sharky, License to Kill. I've never really been a huge fan of that character. He's only there to be killed off, and they called him Sharky just so he could actually die by shark, you know. So, you know. And in terms of underrated henchmen, I suppose Mr. Hinks from Spectre. I mean, he's not the best henchman of the series, but I quite like him. He's got these sort of steel nails, and he can crush people's eyes out. You know, he's not a very pleasant man at all, but I think he's pretty decent. Henok, Brett Garris. The controversies that I'm referring to as such that people have been complaining about the movie Cuties containing child exploitation. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, I'll still check it out for you. Yeah, if I can access it, that is. Yeah. Sam Harrison, most overrated and underrated Bond villain and why? Overrated Bond villain. Oh, that's a good question. I'm kind of a fan of most of the Bond villains. I'm gonna say, Chris Dartos, For Your Eyes Only. I've never been a fan of that character. I've just never been a fan of him. I don't know how many people actually like him, but I've never liked him. So I guess I'll have to say him. A most underrated Bond villain. I don't know. I think Christoph Waltz as Blofeld in Spectre. I mean, I'm not going to say he was amazing, but I thought he was very good for what he had. So I would pick him, and I look forward to seeing him in No Time to Die as well. Where am I at? Okay. Sterling, have you ever watched I Am Legend? Yes, I have seen I Am Legend. That is a very good film, and I mean, it's been a few years since I've actually seen it, so I don't remember it too much. But all I remember is the scene where he had to kill his dog, which was very sad. Sort of a post-apocalyptic drama, which is I like that sort of stuff. So I'll definitely watch it and review it for you for sure. Definitely, they were planning to do a sequel, I believe, but I don't know if that's come to fruition. Okay, moving on. Sam Harrison, favorite action scene in Spy Who Loved Me? I think I already answered this question. I said the opening scene at the beginning. Henok Gebregaris, do you believe Lee Tamahori should have left Die Another Day alone? Yes, is the short answer to that. Yes, he should have done. Someone else should have directed that film. To say that that film was the 40th anniversary of the series. Oh, please. Sam Harrison, why do you prefer The Spy Who Loved Me to Live and Let Die? Because Live and Let Die is a very great movie, but it is very unique to itself. It is a blaxploitation movie, as well as it being a Bond movie. The Spy Who Loved Me just feels more like a classic Bond movie. It has a lot more classic elements to me that make it stand out as a Bond movie. And I also think Roger's performance in it is better. He's much more settled in the role. I mean, it's his third film by that point. So, yeah. And I also, I just think the story is also better as well. But I do love Live and Let Die. Live and Let Die is my second favourite Roger Moore film, so it's not far behind. Jermaine, I love World War Z, but it's cool that you don't like it. Yeah, no, sorry. I mean, if you like the film, that's fine, but each to their own. You know, I don't come on YouTube and review films to force people to like the same things as me. I'm happy to discuss and share opinions. That's what it's all about, baby. So, Sam, favorite Shakespeare play and why? That's a good question. I like A Midsummer Night's Dream very much. That one's very funny. Romeo and Juliet, obviously a classic love story. Macbeth could be my favorite. Or Henry V. I think Macbeth might actually be my favorite. It's a very deep story, actually. Very deep story. Like I said, I performed in Romeo and Juliet back in my school, and I've seen a couple of the movies. Yeah, Shakespeare was a very talented writer. One of the best we ever had, actually. He created some of the best literature. Sam, favorite Christmas film and why? Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot that I like. I'm gonna go. I mean, this might be a very standard choice, but I suppose Home Alone. Maybe I have reviewed Home Alone. I think that's a classic film. It's fantastic. I mean, say what you will about Macaulay Culkin now, but back then he was quite the cutie. He was quite a cute little kid, and he could act. He really could act, and he was on top of the world at that point. So. It's a great, charming film. There are other great Christmas films, of course, but Home Alone is one that's always sprung to my mind. Not so much the sequels, but the first one. The second one is good, but it's very much the same as the first one. It's just in New York. And 3 and 4, get out of here. I don't care about them. Sam Harrison, will you be doing the Brosnan hangout this weekend? Yes, we plan to, but obviously you'll have to wait for the Daniel Craig one because we're going to include No Time to Die, so we're going to have to wait for that one. Sam, have you ever seen the Monty Python films, and if so, do you like them? Never seen them, unfortunately, but I obviously know of them. I might watch them at some point. Sam, most attractive Bond girl and why? Oh, that's a difficult question, Sam. There's so many. Barbara Bach in The Spy Who Loved Me is very attractive as well. Oh, she's very attractive. I think Ana de Armas is very attractive, generally. And I think she's going to be sexy and kick ass in No Time to Die. Léa Seydoux is very attractive. There's so many I can name. I can't pick one. I just can't pick one. Lois Charles is also very attractive in Moonraker. Melina Havelock. Carol Bouquet, I think she's beautiful. I think she's a beautiful, stunning girl in For Your Eyes Only. That's one of the best things about For Your Eyes Only is Melina. Anyway, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Yes, I am live. Another live Q&A, so ask me any questions you want. Sam. A lot of these questions are from Sam, so he's good to have around in the Q&A. How would you rank the Brosnan Bond villains? Well, I don't think many of them are that good, but I'll rank them anyway. At the bottom has to be Gustav Graves, and again, not including the henchmen, just going with the main villains. Gustav Graves. Then I would probably include Renard and Electra together because they're in the same film together. They're both pretty bland, to be honest. And again, the whole bullet concept of Renard is stupid. Then I would say Elliot Carver from Tomorrow Never Dies. And then at the top would have to be Sean Bean as Alex Trevelyan. Sean Bean is legitimately good in GoldenEye. He really is. So yeah. So least favorite Bond girl and why? Again, it's a difficult question. Toss up between Rosie Carver and BB, I guess, or actually Halle Berry as Jinx, possibly, or Rosamund Pike as Miranda. One of those two are pretty crap. Least favorite Bond henchman and why? That's a tough question. I guess, I don't know, maybe Zhao from Die Another Day. I just never liked his character. I thought he was a smarmy prick, and he still gets the diamonds in his face, and he doesn't bother to get them fixed, which is stupid. I don't know why. Sam, why do you hate Gustav Graves? Because I think he's a prick. I think he's stupid, and the whole DNA reconstruction doesn't work. He's just annoying as well. I just think he's really up himself, and he's a really silly villain as well, especially towards the end when he has his electrical suit and he can do lightning and stuff. It gets a bit ridiculous. Lauren 210, what is the worst book you've ever read? Hard question because I don't read very much. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't know. Potentially, this might come across as a bit harsh, but again, I don't read very much. Probably The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. That book, I didn't even finish it. It was so boring. So, I mean, how they made a film out of it, I don't know. But, I mean, I don't rate the film very much either, but the book was just boring. It's just battles. Like, it's just, the story isn't compelling. It's a little boy wants to become king. That's it. And they have to fight the soldiers. That's kind of it, really. Again, it's probably my least favorite book in the Narnia series. It's not very good. I mean, I understand why the films made that one second because it featured the Pevensey characters who were in the first film, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So it made sense to bring them back. But The Voyage of the Dawn Treader was always a story that appealed to me a bit more as well. So yeah. Sam Harrison, why don't you like Monarch from Falls of Doomsday? Because he doesn't do anything. That's why the villains in that film, the villains in that story just do not do anything. And they don't appeal to me. They sit on their asses all day. Sam, favourite line from Soldeed in The Horns of Naimon? Naimon, oh Naimon, it is I, Soldeed. It's either that or my dreams of conquest. You just wanted to hear me say that line. Sam Harrison, funniest Bond film and why? That's a good question. A lot of them are quite funny. Potentially Moonraker because it's so outrageous, and I know I keep talking about Moonraker in this live stream. I might have to stick with Moonraker. Yeah, I might have to stick with Moonraker. Favorite and least favorite scene in a Roger Moore Bond film. Favorite scene in Roger Moore's era. That's a tough question. This might surprise you, Sam, but one of my favorite scenes from Roger Moore's era is actually in For Your Eyes Only, when he kicks the car off the cliff. He says, "You left us with Ferrara, I believe." Man, that's a really good moment for him. Least favorite scene, definitely the Margaret Thatcher scene. It's just ridiculous. It really is. Makes little to no sense to me. Okay. Dinobots, Kuryu, hello, welcome back. I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thoughts on Courage of the Cowardly Dog? None. I don't know what it is. Never seen it. Read it. Whatever it is. I'm sorry. I don't know. Sam Harrison, favorite and least favorite Bond set? Tough question, Sam. Very tough question. I don't know what my least favorite one would be. Favorite could be. I may have answered this last time actually. It could be Moonraker Space Station, or You Only Live Twice, Brocket Lair, or On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Blofeld's Lair. Between those three, I'm not sure. All of them probably. Least favorite Bond set. That's a tricky question. I suppose. And then again, I was going to say Die Another Day, the Ice Palace, but then again, the set isn't too bad. I don't know. I don't know what my least favorite Bond set is. That's a good question. I think perhaps The Man with the Golden Gun in the dressing room of the belly dancer. The Man with the Golden Gun does have a sort of a cheapness to it. But yeah, okay. Funniest Bond film and why? I've already answered that. Favorite Bond villain lair and why? So far, that's a difficult question. Possibly, I like Blofeld's lair from Spectre. I mean, that's all modern, but in terms of the classic Bond movies, I will go with Stromberg's lair in The Spy Who Loved Me, because it looks so outrageous, and it looks like Rami Malek's lair is going to be similar to that in No Time to Die. So potentially that, yeah. Dinobot Curlew, favorite from involving a natural disaster. I'm assuming you mean favorite film involving a natural disaster. That's a very good question. Potentially Krakatoa. That's a good film. Well, The Poseidon Adventure. I like that. If that counts as a natural disaster, I'm pretty sure it does. Sam Harrison, do you prefer The Living Daylights or From Russia with Love, and why? Probably The Living Daylights. I don't know why. Something about it. I just think perhaps the story is a bit more interesting. I don't know. I thought the action in The Living Daylights was better than From Russia with Love, and the editing is also a bit better. But From Russia with Love is still great. I still love it. Yeah, Lauren, do you see Ramses from The Prince of Egypt as a villain? I'm not sure, really. It's hard. You can look at it from many angles. Part of me wants to say yes, but part of me wants to say not necessarily. Not sure. I haven't seen it for a long time, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Sam Harrison, favorite and least favorite Bond location in a Roger Moore Bond film? I believe you may have already asked me this, Sam. You are. I think you're repeating yourself on some of these questions. Favorite location? Oh, there's so many. Location. Harlem, I mean, in Live and Let Die is good. That's a good location. Least favorite location? Probably Hong Kong and The Man with the Golden Gun. Henok Gigbrand Garris, least favorite Bond score and why? Least favorite Bond score would have to be GoldenEye, because it sounds awful. It sounds like a disc scratching at points, and just the arrangements are terrible. I'm not a music person. I can't speak in musical terms, but Eric Serra's score is just a bit all over the place, and it doesn't fit with the film. It doesn't feel right. So yeah, I don't like it. I think it's terrible. Excuse me. Okay, 1 hour 25 minutes. Wow, this has gone quickly. Sam Harrison, favorite and least favorite Q scene in a Roger Moore Bond film. Favorite Q scene, potentially Octopussy. Actually, I quite like that scene. Least favorite Q scene has got to be. I don't know what my least favorite Q scene in the Roger Moore Bond film. I suppose The Man with the Golden Gun, because it was done so slapdash. What Sean Connery film do you rewatch the least? Thunderball, for obvious reasons. It's just too slow. And Diamonds Are Forever. Well, I've not watched that many times. Sam Harrison, least favorite and favorite gadget in a Roger Moore Bond film. I don't know, to be honest. I can't remember all the gadgets off the top of my head. I'll have to come back to that question. Dinobot Curlew, how would you rank all the primeval main characters that died from most to least missed. Oh, God, that is a tough question. You're asking me great questions. Obviously, I'm only going to go through the main characters. I mean, Tom's death in the first season was very powerful. I know he's not a main character as such, but the actor played that really well. I mean, it would probably be lower on the ranking. I'm not sure if I can rank them in a particular order, but I suppose his would be probably at the bottom. Well, actually, no, Helen would be at the bottom because of the way her death was done. It was so out of nowhere. It was a raptor just randomly came past and jumped on her. That was ridiculous. So Helen's death would be there. Then probably Tom's death. I mean, he's not as important as a character, but it was still a very sad death. It was the first major death in the show, and it was a real turning point in the story. Then I'd probably say Cutter, Nick Cutter. I mean, his death, I think, was ill-timed. Like, it shouldn't have been the third episode of the third series, but I thought it was still powerful. It was still very sad when he was killed by his own wife, ex-wife. And then Stephen would probably be at the top. Stephen, his death was noble. It was sacrificial. He managed to redeem himself after what happened in Series 2. So, yeah, that's how I would do it, going from memory. Sorry if that's vague, but that's all I can think of. Oh, God, this chair is uncomfortable. Okay. Lauren, what are your thoughts on cancel culture? I'm not sure what you mean by that, so I'm not sure how I can answer that question. Is that a show or something? Or I don't know. If it is a show, I've never seen it. Sam Harrison, what's your opinion on the waterfall set in Moonraker? I think it's all right. It is one of the cheaper ones, so when you see the models going off the side of it, it does show its cheapness a bit. But they save all the expensive looking stuff for the space, which is fair enough. So I guess that had to compromise. RR, do you have a girlfriend? No, I don't, unfortunately. But I am, just to give you a bit of insight, I am actually, I'm straight, I'm heterosexual. I'm interested in girls, but I mean, if you're offering, yeah. But no, in all seriousness, no, I don't have a girlfriend. I've never been very lucky in that department, shall we say. Dinobot Curlew, have you seen Battlestar Galactica? No, but my uncle has seen it and he recommended it to me. It's really, he said it's really good. So he has the boxes. So maybe when I next visit him, I'll watch it if he lets me. Sam Harrison, favorite and least favorite line in a Roger Moore Bond film. These are very specific questions. I'll try my best to answer this. One of my favorite Roger Moore lines has to be, "I'm now aiming precisely at your groin. So speak now or forever hold your peace." I like that one very much. Least favorite? Not sure. Probably, she's just coming, sir. You know, it's a bit too on the nose, isn't it? Henok Gabriel Garris. Oh, sorry, I missed out a question. Sam Harrison. Favorite and least favorite scene in a Roger Moore Bond film? I think I've already answered this, Sam. I honestly think you've asked me this already. Henok, opinion on Terence Young as a capable director. Do you think he was an inspired choice because he had a similar background to Bond? I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I would say he was a capable director. I mean, he was the director that got the series off the ground. So, yeah, I would say he's very capable. I'm not saying everything he's done is perfect. I mean, you know I don't like Thunderball. So, I think for the most part, yeah, he's very good. And he definitely was a huge influence, I think, on the Bond series. And perhaps he set some of the standards of what we have now in the Bond series. But I don't think it was until Goldfinger where the formula was truly cemented. Dinobot Curlew, have you seen Farscape? No, I haven't. I'm sorry. I must be coming across as a really boring person. I'm really sorry. I haven't seen it. Sam Harrison, favorite and least favorite fight scene in a Roger Moore Bond film? Fight scene. Okay. Favorite fight scene? That's a good question. Not sure. I think perhaps Bond and Jaws in The Spy Who Loved Me, in the pyramids. That was really fun. Least favorite? don't know. Potentially Bond and Zorin in A View to a Kill. Even though I like the film, the end fight even more is a bit slow in that fight. I hate to say that because the music is great in that scene. It's a well charged scene, but the fight I suppose is a little bit sloppy. Do you prefer Roger Moore as Bond or Tom Baker as the Doctor, and why? That's Sam. I don't know. That's a really hard question because they're two very different characters and they're two very different actors. I'm inclined to say Tom Baker because I think he's a more varied actor. He doesn't just do humor. Roger Moore is great in dramatic scenes as well, but I think Tom Baker was able to go further with his character than Roger could go with Bond. So the Doctor is a character you can experiment with a lot more. So I guess and for that reason as well. Yeah. Where am I? I've lost my place. Sam, ugliest Bond film and why? Not sure quite what you mean by ugliest, but I'm definitely going to say Die Another Day. I just think that movie is very unpleasant. It's just strange. It's a weird film. Lauren, which film is worse, Ice Age 4 or Land Before Time 13? Oh, probably Land Before Time 13. I mean, I don't like Ice Age 4, but Land Before Time 13 is that movie sucks. It's terrible. Sam, opinion on Peter Hunt as a director? Yeah, I like Peter Hunt. I think he did a very good job on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and it's a shame that was the only one he did in the series with Lazenby. So I would have liked to have seen Hunt return to Diamonds Are Forever. But he's a very good director because he kept the emotional stakes of the story there. He was able to take Bond in a slightly different direction, which was good. It's just a shame that he cast Lazenby, but oh well. It is what it is. Sam, why don't you like Winton Kid? Well, they're just too campy for me. I know you criticize me for liking Moonraker, but, Moonraker knows it's a cartoon. Winton Kid are just annoying. I just find them annoying. I know they're not in it that much, but I've never liked them as characters. I've always found them to be kind of annoying and just out of place. And yeah, they're two of the worst Bond henchmen for me. Right. Next question. Sam, why don't you like Gobinda? I never said I didn't like him. Okay, maybe I don't like him, but I don't hate him. I just think he's a rip-off of Oddjob. I think he's just the same, silent, doesn't really say much. The scene where he crushes the dice, or the die, sorry, is exactly the same as Oddjob crushing the golf ball in Goldfinger. So I think Gobinda's a very unremarkable henchman. He's okay, but I wouldn't rank him as one of the best. Sam, do you prefer Jaws or Oddjob? Good question. Both of them are similar. I like Jaws very much. I really do. I like Oddjob. I don't actually. I know this is a bit of a cheat, but I'm going to say I like them both the same because I can't decide at this current moment who I prefer. I cannot decide. They're both that good. Sam again. Sam has asked loads of questions. Opinion on the fight scene with Kleb in From Russia with Love? Yeah, I love it. I really like it. It's a great fight. It's very, very funny, especially when she gets the knife in the shoe. Sam, most hilariously bad movie and why? That's a good question. I guess the Emoji Movie is probably a choice for that. Sam, have you seen the Harry Hill movie and why? Well, no, I haven't seen it. And if I had seen it, yeah, I don't know why I would see it. Dinobot Kuryu, do you prefer The Thing 1982 or The Fly 1986? Well, I'm going to have to say The Thing because I haven't seen The Fly 1986. So The Thing 1982, which I really do like, is a great film. Sam, why don't you like Elliot Carver as a villain? I just think because it's not Jonathan Pryce. His performance is good. The character is, I think, just kind of stupid. I think the idea of, basically trying to start World War III for broadcasting rights, I think is just ridiculous and just kind of excessive, really. So I think it's poor writing on the filmmaker's front. Jonathan Pryce, bless him, he tried his best, but it's just a very unremarkable character. Lauren, which Pixar film has the best ending in your opinion? Good question. Very good question. Inside Out, I would probably say. I mean, it is my favorite Pixar film because it shows, Riley finally coming of age, and finally she's changing and whatnot. But there are other great endings. Most of the films have great endings, like Finding Nemo. Nemo and his dad like allowing themselves to sort of trust each other a bit more when Nemo goes off to school. What other ones are there? There's quite a few. Toy Story 4, when Woody decides to stay with Bo. That's a nice ending. But I'd say Inside Out probably as the best for me. I mean, it is my favorite Pixar film. Jermaine, what's your favorite film that takes place in space? Well, obviously Star Wars. I mean, there's no question about that. As in which one? It would be The Empire Strikes Back. That's my favorite Star Wars film. Sam Harrison, favorite Bond villain costume and why? Good question. Don't know. Oh God, it's a difficult question. I guess I'll say Blofeld, because the Nehru sort of jacket that he wears gives him that sort of power status. And that's across all the actors that played Blofeld, not one in particular. Dinobot, what's your ranking of every James Cameron film? I can't actually do that because I haven't seen every James Cameron film. I've seen Aliens, Avatar, Titanic, Terminator 1 and 2. Those are the only ones I've seen. My favorite Cameron movie is probably the first Terminator film. Then the second film follows. Then probably Aliens. Then I'd say Avatar. Oh, no, actually, no, I've seen Titanic. So, yeah, I would then say Titanic, then Avatar. I do like Avatar, but it probably is my least favorite Cameron film. Titanic is really good, but it is overrated, I think. I gave it a 9 out of 10 in my review. Sorry, I haven't seen any other Cameron films. I'll try and watch True Lies and a few of the others at some point. Sam Harrison, how would you rank the Blofeld actors? Number 4. I mean, I'm not going to include the guy from For Your Eyes Only or from Rush with Love, but the main ones. Number 4 would probably be Donald Pleasence. I just found him to be very lazy in the part, very lazy. Donald Pleasence. Then I would choose Charles Gray at number 3. Then I would probably choose Christoph Waltz. Then I think I would choose Telly Savalas as number 1. Telly Savalas would probably be my favorite Blofeld. Okay, bye, Sam. Thanks for all the questions. It really means a lot. Dinobot, do you prefer the Mummy trilogy or Men in Black? I probably have to say the Mummy trilogy, even though I don't like the third one very much, the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I think that movie is a bit stupid, but I like the first two. I mean, the first one is kind of decent, and the second one I thought was fun. Mummy Returns was fun. I think they are basically Indiana Jones rejects. They're basically films that are trying to appease to Indiana Jones fans. So, I mean, Brendan Fraser, I like in those movies. I mean, they're way better than the new Mummy film with Tom Cruise. I mean, that movie sucks. That's terrible. Hi, Jack. Sam Harrison has one more question. Well, actually, he's got 2 questions. Do you think Roommaker would be good if Lazenby was in it? Potentially the film might be entertaining, but he probably wouldn't be very good. Jack, The Magician's Nephew is very good. Yeah, the book is very good. I've read The Magician's Nephew. I've read some of the Narnia books. The Magician's Nephew would make a great film. I think you could do it in 90 minutes. You wouldn't need to make it 2.5 hours like the first 2 Narnia films. But The Magician's Nephew, I like it. And it's a good prequel to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the quintessential Narnia book for me. And it's the best of the films as well. Jack, have you seen Yes, Minister? No, I haven't, unfortunately. Jack, the film fanatic. Hi, Jack. Do you think you will review the original 4 Poirot films before Death on the Nile? I can try. I may not be able to review them before, but I could try and review them. I might try and see Death on the Nile. I'm not sure if I want to see it. I probably will see it because there's not anything else out. After that, it will be No Time to Die. So Yeah. Dinobots, do you wish Timothy Dalton got to do more Bond films? Yes, I do. I very much like The Living Daylights. Not too keen on License to Kill, but I still think Dalton deserved to continue his era. I felt like he was robbed of at least one more film. He could have done a third film, have it released in 1991. That would have been nice, and I think that would have hopefully cemented him a bit more as a great Bond. But I mean, I'm just glad now that Timothy Dalton has earned more of a cult following, and he has earned a lot more fans since the Daniel Craig era, which is good. I don't think he's the best James Bond, but I think he was pretty good. So, yeah, I would have loved to have seen him carry on. Okay. Henok Garis. Oh, that's not a question. Timothy Dalton should have gone on for 6, actually. I don't know about 6 films, but maybe he could have done another 1 or 2 more films. Dinobot, would you find a movie or show involving an alternate world where dinosaurs didn't go extinct and formed a society interesting? The 90s sitcom doesn't count. Potentially that might be interesting, yeah. Something quite outrageous, but that could be something fun. Lauren 210, what is the scariest film you've ever seen? Might be a quintessential choice, but I'm probably going to go with Alien, the first Alien film. That movie is so suspenseful. It is fantastic, that film, really. And the best of that franchise, actually, I would say. Initially, I thought Aliens was better, but no, I think I prefer the first one. Although the second one is good, it's very good, but it's more of an action film. So yeah, Alien is the answer to that. Jack, the film fanatic, favorite EastEnders character? That's a good question. There's a lot of good EastEnders characters. I guess probably Phil Mitchell. Yeah, Phil Mitchell, because he's the ultimate hard man of EastEnders. Yeah, I don't really watch EastEnders too much anymore. I've dipped in and out of it recently. But yeah, no, Phil Mitchell probably. Jack the film fanatic. Who would win in a fight between Grant or Nick Cotton? I'm tempted to say Grant. I think Grant is just, fearless. Nick Cotton is nasty. He really is nasty. Well, sorry, he was nasty. It's a tough one because they're two very, very hard men. I'm tempted to say Grant, though. I'm not sure why. I just think he has the slight edge. I think he's a bit bigger physically, slightly anyway. I mean, well, I don't know. Dinobot, the only character you left out was Sarah Page. Yes, yeah, she did die off screen. I forgot about Sarah. It was really sad that they chose to do that because she didn't want to film in Ireland, which was understandable. But I think to kill her character off was a bit of a shame. They could have written her out by not killing her, by just saying that she quit, which is fair enough. It would have made sense because all the others were trapped, and the team was barely left. So they should have just had her leave. I think that would have been better. But oh well, they chose to kill her. Shame. Jack the film fanatic, is Star Trek Nemesis your nemesis? Yes. Jack the film fanatic, what is the worst part of Star Trek Nemesis? Easily the mind rape scene. Oh god, that is awful. That's awful. It's the equivalent of Tom Hardy porn. It basically is what it is. Oh, and regarding the Tom Hardy rumours about James Bond, I'm not going to believe anything until I hear it officially from Eon or BBC. So we'll wait and see about that. Jack the film fanatic. Top 5 movie directors. Okay. Peter Jackson, obviously, for Lord of the Rings. Matt Reeves is another one. I'd say James Cameron, even though I question some of his screenwriting, but as a director, yeah, very good. Martin Scorsese would have to be up there. And probably Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah. Dinobot Curlew, most overrated action film. Not sure. I suppose the Fast and Furious movies. I mean, I've not seen all of them. I've seen like 2 of them. I watched the new one, which is called Hobbs and Shaw or something, and I watched one when I was in school on our last day of term. We watched the 5th one, Fast 5, what it was called. I mean, they're okay, but there's not much of a story to me. I don't get why people love them so much, but fair enough, each to their own. Lauren 210, do you think it is right to nitpick a film? Yeah, I would say there's no harm in it. as long as the nitpicks are justified and it's not done for the sake of it. I mean, I've probably been accused of nitpicking films, but you know, we do it. We do it when you're a reviewer or a critic. You just look at it with that eye and you just pick every little thing out. I mean, it's subconscious. You can't help it. Dinobot, favorite moment from each Jurassic Park sequel. Trouble is, The Lost World, I don't really like it that much. So the best moment in The Lost World, I guess, is probably the scene with the truck on the cliff. I like that scene, and maybe, yeah, I think that's probably the scene. Jurassic Park 3, probably the bit in the research lab. That was quite fun. Jurassic World. I don't know about Jurassic World actually. Probably the finale when they have to fight the Indominus Rex. And Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. My favorite moment in that is probably when the Indoraptor creeps into Maisie's bedroom. That is really creepy. Jack the Film Fanatic. Worst moment in a Pierce Brosnan Bond film, or Pierce Brosnan Bond film, I'm assuming, and best moment. Worst moment in a Pierce Brosnan Bond film. It's tough. There's a lot of moments. I would say possibly Die Another Day, the sex scene, which is sort of cringy and uncomfortable to watch when him and Halle Berry are having a romp, should we say. The best moment, I guess, the stunt in GoldenEye. I really like the opening stunt in GoldenEye when he jumps off the edge of the base. That is really impressive. Dinobot, do you have any thoughts on 1973 Disney Robin Hood? Yes. I mean, I haven't seen it for a long time, but I will review it for you at some point. It's good. It was never my favorite of the Disney classics, but I've always thought it was charming. You know, I always thought it was pretty charming. Lauren 2-0, best opening in a Pixar film. I'm going to have to say you're going to like my answer. Finding Nemo. Purely because it was hard-hitting. It was unexpected. You know, we thought we were going to get a nice opening with the two parents of the eggs and a nice happy family, but no, we're treated to a death. You know, Coral dies in the opening 5 minutes, and Marlin is left with only Nemo. It's so sad, but it's so powerful, and it was handled in just the right way. The fact that we don't really see the other eggs get eaten or whatnot, or we don't see Coral die, we just know she's gone, and Marlin's left alone with Nemo. It's just so powerful. It really, really is powerful. Yeah, so that one, probably. Jack, Film Fanatic, best film of the last 10 years. Good question. Very good question. I love War for the Planet of the Apes. That's a great movie. What other films have there been? A Quiet Place has been one of the best horror films, I think. That's a difficult question. I might have to get back to you on that. I have to think about all the films that have come out in the last 10 years. Anyway. Dinobot, what do you think will happen first? We land on Mars or artificial intelligence? No idea. Potentially artificial intelligence. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Lauren, do you think it was justified for Star-Lord to punch Thanos in Infinity War? Everyone bitches about that scene, so that's why I ask. Well, no, it's fine, because you know what? My best friend actually bitches about it as well. I mean, I can understand where the two sides are coming from. I mean, on the one hand, yes, he basically ruined their chance of getting the gauntlet off of his hand. But at the same time, you can't blame him for feeling emotional about Gamora's death. So you got to look at it from two sides. I think people should stop bitching about it. I mean, yeah, he would have, if he hadn't have bursted out like that, they would have got the gauntlet off. But, whoops. I don't think I think his outburst was justified personally. So I'm more on the side that I accept it. And to be fair, what would you do in that situation if you found out that the person you loved had been killed? You know, and you were looking at the guy that was responsible right in front of you. You'd want to do something. So yeah. Okay, we're almost at the bottom of the list. Although I think in about 10 minutes or so I might call it because I said 2 hours. I said 2 hours. So get your last questions in now. Would you rather jump 100 years in the future or the past? I don't know. I'd like to do both, actually. I'd like to experience the past and see what it was like, but I'd also like to see the future and where we're going to be, especially with this fucking COVID thing. I mean, hopefully that's not going to be around for 100 years, but, well, we'll see. We'll learn to live with it. Jermaine, going off to bed now. Oh, thank you very much for your questions, Jermaine, and thank you for the support. It really means a lot. Stay safe, man. Henok Gilbergerst, do you like Diamonds Are Forever? No, that's the answer. I have reviewed Diamonds Are Forever, so if you want to know why I don't like it, check out my review. I've reviewed all the James Bond movies in the official series in preparation for No Time to Die, so yes, if you want to know my extensive thoughts, check them out. Jack, do you think Nolan should direct a Bond film? Possibly. I don't know whether he should, but whether I'd want him to do it, I would be open to it. Having watched Tenet recently in the cinema, it looks as though that is Christopher Nolan's audition tape for James Bond, basically, with his own spin on it. He'd have to do something that wasn't so complicated. I think he'd have to simplify the script for Bond, but I certainly think he has the flair to do it. So yeah, I'm open to Christopher Nolan doing it, but it's got to be right. So I know they're eyeing him up, or he's certainly been discussed in many conversations about future directors. So my answer would be, yeah, I would like to see him do it, but I don't know when is the right time, though. So we'll see. Dinobot, who are you more angry at? Director of Star Trek Nemesis or Die Another Day? Probably Die Another Day because with Lee Tamahori, because I'm more of a fan of James Bond. I do like Star Trek, but I'm not really a huge fan of it. I watched the movies, but that's it. I mean, Stuart Baird, actually, funny enough, he has Bond connections. He was the editor for Skyfall, my favorite Bond film. So yeah, and Nemesis was the only film he directed, and it's quite plain to see why. Okay, Jack the Film Fanatic, Doritos or What's-Its? Doritos. I'd say Doritos. Jack the Film Fanatic, top 10 worst films ever. 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, Food Fight, Batman and Robin, all 5 of the Twilight films. Well, actually, no, I can't say the last one because I haven't seen it, but yeah, oh, fuck it. You know, that'll do. They're the only ones I can think of. What else is there? There's got to be more. Emoji Movie. That's another one. The Emoji Movie. That's probably more than 10, but whatever. Jack, favorite Doctor Who soundtrack from the classic series? City of Death, I would say. Very iconic theme. Da 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 da. Okay, Lauren, is it a justified criticism when someone says a film is too unrealistic? That depends on what the film is about, I would say. If the subject matter is supposed to be unrealistic, like, say, a fantasy movie, like Artemis Fowl, for example, I don't think you could criticize that. I think in terms of, it depends on the genre of film. Like, Jack reviewed a film recently called Holmes and Watson, and that movie was very unrealistic from what he tells me. It depends what the genre is. That's what I would say. But generally, if it's something like a fantasy, you can't really criticize the realism because it's not supposed to be realistic. So that's my verdict anyway. Henok, what Ken Adams set design do you consider to be your favorite of all time? Well, Sam asked me this earlier. It's a toss-up between the Moonraker space shuttle, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Blofeld's Lair, or You Only Live Twice, Rocket Silo. One of those. Jack the Film Fanatic, the things you hate the most about The Land Before Time, Wisdom of Friends. To be honest, I've kind of forgotten about it. I've basically forgotten about it, to be honest. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I think it was just there was no story and the songs were awful and it just really felt like a tired old horse by that point. The Land Before Time series had run its course. 13 movies. I mean, obviously, well, now there's 14, but it just really felt like the bottom of the barrel, to be honest. It really did. Yeah. Lauren, yes, the Finding Nemo opening is so intense. Yeah, that would probably be the darkest opening they've done, I would say. Dinobot, what's a movie you went to into thinking you're not like but ended up liking it? For me, Zootopia and Kong Skull Island. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't like Kong Skull Island. Two film of a film that I liked, but I didn't think I was gonna like. Ant-Man, Marvel's Ant-Man. I didn't think I was gonna like that film, but I actually quite enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm trying to think of other examples as well. A Quiet Place. That was another one. Because I'm not a huge horror fan, but I'd heard good things about A Quiet Place, and I ended up loving it. I love that film, and I am going to review it, but I'm waiting till next year because the second one is going to be released. It's been delayed. It was meant to come out this year, but because of COVID, it's being delayed till 2021. So I'll review A Quiet Place next year. Jack the Film Fanatic. Favorite speech or moment from Davros? Probably his speech in Journey's End, when he says to the Doctor, "You are the destroyer of worlds." That was very done. And also the speech when he says, "How many people have died in your name?" That was a great moment. It's sort of reflecting on the Doctor as a character, like his the fact that he's lost so many people over the years and over the centuries, and however many years he's been traveling. So that was a nice emotional moment there. Favorite story with the Master from the classic series. It's got to be the Deadly Assassin, easily. And I know the Master there is Peter Pratt, but still, that was an awesome story. Jack, the Film Fanatic. The worst moments or scenes from Captain Marvel. Probably the scenes in Lashana Lynch plays her friend. The scenes in her house when they're talking with Ben Mendelsohn, and there's all this weird humor. Probably those moments. They weren't funny to me. Some of the humor was kind of awkward. But yeah, Sterling. Oh, you've retracted your message. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Okay. Bye, Dinobot. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm going to close off anyway, so you're probably leaving at the right time. I'm going to get through the last few bits, and then I'll probably call it there because it's been nearly 2 hours. Henok Garris. What about Tom Hardy as Bond, given all the rumors that have been put out? Do you think he has, despite his age? I did sort of mention this earlier. In terms of whether I think Tom Hardy would be good for the role, possibly. The guy's built, so I'll give him that. But he's very well known for other roles, so I'd like someone who's less well known, to be honest. But I don't see a reason why Tom Hardy couldn't do it. I mean, I would certainly continue watching the franchise if Tom Hardy played Bond. Someone's got to take over from Daniel Craig. So the thing is, though, Tom Hardy's in his 40s as well. So you've got to think as well, how many films would he get? He wouldn't get a huge amount of films, potentially 3 or 4 at the most, depending. I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think we'll hear officially until next year, until after No Time to Die has been released on DVD and Blu-ray. Assuming that, November release stays, which I think it will, but we'll see. Lauren, last question. Okay. Of all the changes in a Harry Potter film, what change is your favourite and least favourite? Least favourite would have to be missing out Dumbledore's funeral. The end of Half-Blood Prince film, that's probably my least favourite change. They had a mini, had a battle scene at the end, which was replaced with Harry just chasing Snape and everybody out of the castle, which I thought was kind of stupid. It just lowered the stakes, which is a real shame. And they missed out the funeral, for Dumbledore, which is crap. I think personally that was rubbish. They should have included that. And my favourite change, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with most of the changes. The last film, I might get some hate for this, but the last film when Harry and Voldemort fight, they actually don't. I mean, yeah, they miss out some of the dialogue, which is a real shame. But they chase each other around the school, which I actually quite like. It makes for a more dynamic a more dynamic action scene, and they do end their fight in the courtyard. I would have had the people watching it with the dialogue from the book, but that aside, I still think that fight was pretty awesome. And thanks, Lauren, for the questions. Really appreciate it. Jack, the film fanatic, the film that's pissed you off the most, probably 50 Shades of Grey movies, both of them. I haven't seen the third one yet, but I'm not looking forward to it. Okay, we're almost there, so okay, I think we'll just go a bit further down. Jack, if you had a TARDIS and could go back to any time period on Earth, what time period would you choose and why? That's a good question. I don't know. I'd quite like to go back to the Victorian era, just because of how different society was back then. But I'd also like to go further back, maybe to the Jurassic era, just to see what the dinosaurs were really like. That has always intrigued me. But also going to the future would be interesting. I'd like to see where I would be in the future. Because at the moment, I've got no bloody idea where I will be in the next couple of years, let alone the future. But anyway, that's a good question. Henok, Jack, Adric or Clara, who is worse? Probably Clara, because she stayed longer and she became much more of a control freak. Adric was annoying, but at least he had a noble exit. Clara, not so much. Jack, the film fanatic, thoughts on Adam Sandler? Well, I've not seen all of his movies. Adam Sandler, he's all right to me. I've never thought he was that funny. I've seen a couple of films that I quite like him in. I like the film Click. That's not too bad. But he is kind of annoying, and he's kind of become a caricature of himself. So, yeah, immediately there, he's kind of not as likable. Jack, again, have you seen Paul Blart Mall Cop? What's your opinion on it? I have seen it. Yeah, it's not very good. I don't hate it, but it is. I mean, it's a kids movie. I see it as a kids movie. It's a bit. I just think it's ridiculous. Personally, I think it's a boring film. It doesn't go anywhere. Jack, the film fanatic, worst soundtrack to a film. I don't know. There's a lot of soundtracks that I don't like. I didn't like the soundtrack for Tenet. I thought that was awful. GoldenEye's soundtrack is shit. Can't think of any at the moment. So those are the only ones I can think of. Henok. Oh, okay. Henok, you're signing off. But thanks very much. And thanks for the support. That really means a lot. Okay. So I think we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. There is one more question from Jack, which I will answer. Well, actually, no, two more questions from Jack, and then I'll call it a night because everybody's signing off, and I've been on for over 2 hours. So, Jack, would you agree with me that Ginny Weasley was underdeveloped in the Harry Potter films? She gets much more development in the books. I'd agree with that, yeah. I really do love the Harry Potter films. Believe me, I do. I love them. But Ginny Weasley was definitely the most underdeveloped character. Even in the 6th movie, they started to give her more to do, but by then it was like, well, okay, well, yeah. I mean, she only kind of gets, even in the 2nd film, which surrounds her, she doesn't get a lot to do, which is a real shame. Considering that she's the person that actually marries Harry in the end. But that's a shame. I mean, the films obviously have to cram so much into 2.5 hours, and they do their best, but at the same time, they could have made more of an effort with Ginny, but Ginny is very likable in the books. That's definitely for sure. And last question from Jack: any lost stories of Doctor Who you would recover, but you would have to junk to save? Not quite sure what you mean by that question, to be honest, Jack. You would recover, but you would have to junk to save. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Or, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. Any lost stories I would recover? I'd love to recover the Daleks' master plan. That is one of my favorite stories. My favorite William Hartnell story. That is pretty epic. I'd like to recover that one. And last question: what do you think of Boris and GoldenEye? I think Boris is all right. You know, it is a little bit annoying at times. He's a bit over the top, but he's all right. He's okay. Yeah, I think Alan Cumming does a good performance. That's my opinion. Well, that's that, chaps. We are basically at an end now. Thanks to everybody who submitted questions in the live chat. I've been on for 2 hours, 6 minutes, so I think that is enough. And yes, stay tuned for more Q&A videos, which will be live. And I'm sorry I had to take a break and go to the toilet halfway through. I'll try and edit that bit out, or I'll try and I'll put the timestamp definitely in the description in the comment section, so you can skip that bit, because there is a section where I went off to the toilet. I was desperate, unfortunately. But anyway, thanks all very much for watching, and your support is always appreciated. And as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See you soon. Bye for now.